Hey, everybody. Hey. Welcome to the Santita Jackson Show here on AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota. It is a blessing to be with you as we talk about the great issues of our day. We were just talking with Texas Democrat, Texas State Representative Jolanda Jones. They, contrary to press reports, are going nowhere. They are holding fast. They plan to deny the Texas State Legislature that quorum. We're going to be talking about that more at the bottom of the hour. But right now, let's talk about a story that has elicited, quite frankly, global outrage. We have watched journalists killed in covering Gaza. People cannot get in to cover Gaza. Think about that, everybody. What if you could not cover the Selma to Montgomery March? Think about that. What if there was a media blackout on coverage of the Civil War? Of course, we didn't have films then, but think about that. Think about it. When the only information that you can get on CNN has to be cleared by the Israeli government. Well, this young man and his team, they were real heroes. Real heroes. Anas al-Sharif and several other journalists, they were considered to be, and he was only 28, the voices of the Palestinians. In fact, he had just been thanked by a young Palestinian. Thank you so much for telling our story. We need you, we need you, we need you. And just as suddenly, he was killed. Think about that, everybody. I want you to make that make sense. We need to talk about that today with Jim Narakis of Fairness and Accuracy in Reporting. Because think about the importance of journalists. The only protected profession in our Constitution, by our Constitution, is journalism. You cannot be free if you don't have a free and open press. And what happens when journalists know that when they go to cover an event, when they go to cover a situation, that they're facing certain death? Think about that, everybody. What does that mean? What does that mean? So I want you all to walk with me. Tell me what it is that you think, because more and more journalists are not able to come out of Gaza alive. So let me know what you think about that. This young man was targeted, and he, like so many others, have been targeted by the IDF. No oops, no, they have literally been targeted. They have killed scores of journalists. It is just an absolute shame. And so I want to know what your thinking is. You know, as we're watching, well, we're not able to watch the starvation. Who's going to report on that? More and more people want a two-state solution. More and more people are recognizing the Palestinian state. We need someone on the ground. We need someone on the ground who can talk about that. Think about that. That is what the media are for. So what happens when the media can't do their jobs? What happens when the media know that when they go into a situation that they're facing almost certain death? And what is so awful about this is that the government, the Israeli government, said that he was a terrorist. So I guess everybody's Hamas. Everybody's a terrorist. It just cannot be so. And that reasoning cannot stand. So I want you to tell me what it is that you think. Bernadette says, like and share. I'm sending you so much love today. And I want you to meet me on X at Santita J, at Santita J. And then, of course, meet me on Facebook, Santita Jackson and Friends. That's the only place where I can get friends, quite frankly. And then meet me on of course, here on the Santita Jackson Show YouTube channel, the Santita Jackson Show YouTube channel. And then, of course, meet me here on Blue Sky, santitajackson.bsky. Santita.social, santitajackson.bsky.social. I want to know what you think about this particular story. And then I want you to also tell me what you think about what's happening in Texas. We're going to be talking about that with Texas State Representative Ron Reynolds and a panel of guests, because what they're doing is so important, everybody, so important. If you care about Medicare and Medicaid, Social Security, that's why they're doing the stand down. Everybody wants to get to Washington, and I'm not mad at them. But the power really is, the states are so powerful. They're all powerful. And they determine who goes to Washington in the first place. You don't have mid-decade redrawing of districts unless it is a complete power flex from Washington, D.C. It's not done to benefit the state. It's done to benefit those who are in power in Washington. And that's what's happening here. The Texas Democrats and the Texas Republicans were supposed to be going to to Austin, which is the capital of Texas, to vote on the disaster that we saw unfold on the 4th of July weekend in the Guadalupe River. We were just talking with Texas State Representative Jolanda Jones, and she said, wait a minute, 40 people are still missing. They have not recovered everybody. And remember, the governor would not give them $1 million to have an emergency system, an emergency alert system in a floodplain. So this is what they were going to vote on. And what they snuck into the agenda was redistricting, because the president called and said, I need more congresspersons. Now, the governor has already denied the people of Houston a representative. Sheila Jackson Lee died last July, and her replacement for a minute was her daughter. And then she did not want to run for the seat, so Sylvester Turner, the former mayor of Houston, he said, okay, I'll run. And he won, going away. He was a very popular mayor. Sadly, he died 2 months after taking the oath of office. He died the night of the State of the Union address. Can you believe it? He'd been in there since January, died early in March. He'd been struggling with his health, but he was still going to serve. And instead of having an election in a month, like governors generally do, because unlike the U.S. Senate, the House seat you have to run for, no matter what, when it's empty. Well, the governor did not do it in 2 months or 3. And mind you, votes are still going on in Congress. He said, no, I'm going to wait until November. So these people, for the better part of a year, for 9 months, would be without representation. Think about that. See, it's these kind of shenanigans that the Texas State Democrats are pushing back on. And aren't you glad to see some Democrats fighting? Doesn't that make you feel good? To see some Democrats who are finally pushing back, who are saying, wait a minute, we see the game that's being played on all of our issues, on Social Security, on Medicare and Medicaid, on tariffs. Oh my goodness. The tariffs we're already taking the hits on tariffs. Think about that. Things that used to cost $10, $15 are now tripled. They've tripled and quadrupled in price. They're pushing back against that. They're pushing back against a power grab, an absolute power grab. And so they are holding firm. I know the press reports are telling you that they're breaking and that they are coming home. That's performative, because the group that have taken refuge in Chicago, in the state of Illinois, because they're having to be moved around because they've gotten at least 2 bomb threats. And these are people who only make $600 a month. Think about that. Think about that. I want you to think about that. Before we move on to that issue at the bottom of the hour, I want you to think about what they're sacrificing. You've seen Jolanda Jones. She's tough as nails. She started crying. in the last hour because she said, I miss my grandbaby. Believe it or not, and she is absolutely stunning, she's a grandmother, a mother and a grandmother. She's got family, but they're away. And now they've made it illegal for Beto O'Rourke to raise money for them to help them as they have to pay for hotels. They don't have a lot of money. Think about that. Oh yeah, that's what they're having to do now. So we need to show them some love, everybody. You know, and Daryl, you said you're so glad to see these Democrats finally fighting. Yeah, me too. Everybody is, and they have much more support out here than they know. And when we had them at Rainbow Push on Saturday at our regular Saturday morning forum, which is from 10 to 11 Central Standard Time. Everybody go to rainbowpush.org, go to Reverend Jackson's Facebook page, go to these pages so that you can see and hear. Go to the Word Network and you will hear what they were talking about. Yeah, and then we took them to churches so that they could get a sense of how when people heard what they are doing and why they're doing it, everybody got excited. And people wanted to feed them. They wanted to give them money. They wanted to make sure they're okay. In the meantime, in Texas, they're trying to arrest Beto O'Rourke. They said, if you raise another dime for them, we will put you in jail. Think about that. The stakes are high. Let me bring up Jim Narekas from Fairness and Accuracy in Reporting. We're having all kinds of issues technically right in here. But
Sorry.
It's okay. No. It's all right. Because we're going to be talking with the Texas State Democrats, with a Texas State Democrat at the bottom of the hour. But I wanted to get you while I have a few minutes with you because we've all been, oh my goodness, maybe it's his youth and just we're so tired of what's happening in Gaza. When you see, as my mother said, just to see these these starved children. To see skinny newborns, that's something that you can't make that make sense to me. My mother said babies, and she said, I've had 5 of you. You're supposed to be chubby. That's it. She said, yeah, and you're supposed to be chubby for a long time. You lean out when you're like 3 and 4. That's when you lean out. But you want your baby chubby because that means they're being well fed. So when you can't get that story out, when the only information you can get out from CNN has to be cleared by the IDF and the Israeli government. Wow. When you've got some journalists in there who are reporting the story. And this young man was 28 years of age, and they wiped out the whole team. Tell me what happened.
Yeah, they're not hiding it. They were bragging about killing this journalist and his colleagues. They claim that he is Hamas, which is a claim that they've made again and again for every murder. People have looked into their claims, have seen the evidence. There's never any real evidence. It's just a thing that they say because, from their point of view, someone who is exposing their atrocities is objectively helping Hamas, and therefore you might as well, if you're doing journalism and reporting on the devastating impact of Israel's bombs and guns and starvation on the human beings of Gaza, then you are siding with Hamas by showing what Israel's war on Gaza looks like. That they have killed hundreds of journalists. This didn't start with October 7th. They had killed 100 journalists prior to October 7th through assassination, through killing people in custody, and this context during the since October 7th, they've killed some 200 journalists. It's the deadliest place to be a journalist in the world. It's the deadliest war for journalists, and because there is a concerted effort to shut down the world's view of what is going on there, because it is so horrible. When you see the starving children, you have to be a sociopath not to think this isn't right. And so keeping those images away from the world's eyes is imperative for the Israeli military effort.
These journalists are being targeted, are they not?
Absolutely. No, and they're not even hiding it. They're not claiming this was an accident. They're saying they did this on purpose.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to figure out what is the recourse, because something's got to happen.
Right.
Because taking on an assignment in Gaza as a journalist is a death sentence now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just I hear weekly throughout the week, a journalist who is covering Gaza is getting killed. And, we've seen many of these IDF sharpshooters, and they pride themselves on their accuracy.
Right.
So they mean to shoot babies in the head. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
They mean to kill these journalists. I mean, and even when you're wearing the Kevlar vest and when you're wearing the helmet, trust me, they can get you. I mean, that was something my father used to tell us all the time. He was like, baby, if people want to get you, they can.
Yeah.
So help me. I mean, who is saying, is anyone saying anything about this?
Well, you would like the world to recoil from a government that is committing this kind of war crime, because it is a crime under the laws of war. It's a crime to target journalists. Israel does it anyway, and Israel continues to get support from the United States, most of all, but from Europe as well. Are continuing to supply the guns and the bombs that are being used to enforce the siege of Gaza. We're collaborating with the starvation program that is masquerading as a humanitarian aid program in Gaza. And why governments are able to get away with supporting something like this, in large part, has to do with the media coverage, which, when you see reports of Anas al-Sharif's death, very often the Israel's absurd charge that this guy who is working 24/7 to report on what's going on in Gaza is actually a Hamas operative. That is in the headline. With, generally when someone murders somebody, you don't have the murderer explaining why they did it in the headline of the news report. That's not how you lead the story. But in this case, where this is a colleague of all the journalists who are reporting on this story, this is one of their colleagues, is singled out and murdered by this government, and they are reporting it, giving credence to the ridiculous claim that this guy is not a journalist, but in fact is some kind of Hamas terrorist. It's shameful. It's shameful that in effect the Western press corps is giving cover for this campaign of assassination against the people who are heroically, desperately trying to get out the news of what is really going on in Gaza. It's horrific.
It is horrific. I'm trying to figure out what we need to know is there recourse? I mean, because when I listen to the United Nations, it's like they're a toothless tiger.
Yeah.
I mean, or they don't mean to intervene.
Yeah.
The United States could do something. We had an American Palestinian American, a kid from the United States who was killed. I didn't hear the president say anything about that.
No.
This is an American who was targeted. I mean, are you serious? What is going on here?
Yeah, being Palestinian trumps being American in terms of whether your life is considered to have value or not.
Well, I mean, so, but what, how do you get the story out? I mean, clearly they don't want us to get the story out. Do they not understand that this is a horrible look? That they are losing, they have lost the narrative. I think it was one of the European foreign, not foreign ministers, one of the European ministers was saying they've lost the narrative. I mean, you got to know when you've lost the room. I
Yeah,
mean, now you have more and more people calling for a two-state solution. Now it's toothless because there are so many exceptions put on it, but at least they're giving lip service to it. Something has got to be done here, but you
yeah,
can't. But when you cannot talk about it, there's something that's very wrong about that. I mean, and if a journalist cannot do their job,
yeah,
I mean, as Americans, we ought to be outraged, Jim, because in our own Constitution, the only profession that's protected.
yeah. It's in terms of public opinion has greatly swayed against Israel, particularly on the left side of the political spectrum. Uh, Democrats, a tiny minority of Democrats are still supporting Israel in this war, something like 8%, which you get more than that saying that lizard people are controlling the country. Um, and yet, despite that, the leadership of the Democratic Party is still, engaging in photo ops with AIPAC. They're still standing by Israel and Netanyahu. And I think that disconnect between the rank and file of the Democratic Party and the leadership of the Democratic Party is largely because the press is playing an insulating role instead of holding politicians' feet to the fire and forcing them to explain why they are continuing to support a genocidal regime that is assassinating journalists, that is starving children. They are disguising the atrocities. They're couching it in the absurd rationalizations that Israel is offering to explain why it in fact is a good thing to be depriving infants of food, and why shooting journalists is actually a noble and moral endeavor. If journalists were doing their job and talking about what Israel is really doing and what the effects are actually having without couching it in these absurd rationalizations, I think you would see a real change in the part of the Democratic Party, and eventually a real change in the part of the U.S. government and the governments of Europe.
But corporate media is covering it up.
Yes.
What
Yeah.
you see? What Tyrone Thomas? You said the journalist was killed in cold blood. Totally shameful genocide by the Jewish state while the world looks on. He was killed in cold blood, and no one. I mean, I've not seen any of the corporate media in the United States
Yeah.
have something to say about this.
Yeah. That if you will see the leadership of the New York Times or the Washington Post going to fundraising dinners for the Committee to Protect Journalists, and speaking out against the persecution of journalists abroad. But you'll notice that they are speaking out most loudly when the journalists are being persecuted by official enemies of the United States. Because that doesn't cost you anything to speak out against an official enemy. When the number one killer of journalists in the world is Israel, then you hear much less about it. The outrage is muted if it exists at all.
But this is unsustainable, would you not say?
I'd have to think that water runs downhill and eventually reaches the bottom of the hill.
Is there anything that we can do? Because it just, To me, for you, for one to accept a job assignment, knowing that death is certain, is there's something that's not right about that. And I think that we're diminished as Americans who uphold our Constitution, that says it central to this American project is protection of journalists. But this is when you see the danger of corporate journalism, right? I mean, that becomes the problem, because they're speaking not for people, and they're speaking to people, but not for people.
Right. I think that we need to make use of the tools that we have. I think that you have been doing a really important work throughout this genocide to expose what's going on, to talk to people about it, to bring on voices of people who are speaking for peace. I think that people as individuals, we do have tools. We have more tools in the 21st century to speak horizontally than we did in past eras. We can use the platforms that we have, and most individuals don't have a large platform, but they have a platform that they can talk to their friends and neighbors on. And people, I think when you look at what is going on here, you need to speak out about it. You need to express that this is contrary to humanity, and that it can't go on. That we can't let our government facilitate it. We have to say no to participating in genocide.
But before you go, Jim, though, I mean, just let me ask you: are journalists who say are working in corporate media, and I'm not upset with anyone who is, privately, do they not express concerns?
Yes, no, very often. I feel like the discourse that went on around the campus protests soon after the assault on Gaza started was devastating to our society, because the coverage of the campus protests was not, here's what these people are protesting about. The coverage of the campus protest was, here is dangerous hatred on our campuses that is anti-Jewish, even though many of the leaders of this movement were Jewish, and explicitly in Jewish organizations speaking out against the genocide. But the way that this was framed as a question of not of how do we best stop these atrocities, but what do we do about this anti-Semitism? Because the definition of anti-Semitism has been changed from hatred of Jews to criticism of Israel. That is, in the official definition of anti-Semitism that is being used by the U.S. government and by campuses in order to police speech on campus, says that if you don't accept the idea that Israel has a right to be an ethno-state with one ethnicity in control and others disenfranchised, then you're an anti-Semite. Which I think that there are, it's like saying that people who were against apartheid in South Africa are anti-white, which I think would be a real insult to white people.
Well, if you're anti-slavery, you're anti-white.
But this discourse, and it was not, it was not just criticism of the campus protesters. It was enforced through expulsions, through deportation, through withholding
degrees,
through withholding funds from these universities, from which had been suppressing the protests but hadn't suppressed them enough, according to our government. There are threats of taking away accreditation from prominent prestigious universities in the country because of the supposed anti-Semitism, which is, again, allowing criticism of Israel to happen on campus. And I feel like this attack on the campus protesters was symbolic. It was a symbolic attack on all of us who are opposed to the genocide in Gaza. And I think it has cowed people. You know, it's why I believe it's why there aren't large-scale protests in the street. It's not that people aren't outraged. It's not that people aren't sickened by what they're seeing when they get a chance to see with what's going on in Gaza. But there's just been the assault on the campus protests, I think, created a sense of shame, that people feel ashamed to express the horror that they feel over the images that they're seeing. And I think that again, the U.S. media, corporate media, played a huge role in demonizing these protests, demonizing these kids who were speaking out against atrocity, against genocide, against starvation. And yeah, I think people will look back on this with a real sense of revulsion at the role that the press has played in greasing the wheels for extermination in Gaza.
Of a whole people. Jim Narakis, Fairness and Accuracy in Reporting. I wish we had fairness and accuracy here. We don't have it. We do not have it. And it's to our everlasting shame if we don't say something about it. Because they killed that boy, 28 years of age. I'm old enough to call him a boy because he was young enough to be my child.
Yeah.
And the fact that some Palestinian child had just come to him and thanked him for telling our story. Oh, come on. Are you serious? This is shameful. But thank you for the work that you're doing. Thank you for the work that you're doing. You know, I love you and Janine and the whole team at Fairness and Accuracy in Reporting. Thank you for helping us to understand what we're looking at. It's important. It's important, everybody. And
we appreciate the support.
Oh, I love all of you, and I'm gonna tell you, we've got to get right to it because we've got to do better than what we're doing. Sending you so much love, Jim Narakis, and my love to my girl over there.
I'll pass that on.
All right. Please do, Janine Jackson and people at Fairness and Accuracy in Reporting. Let me bring up Ronnie Patrice, and Lavonia Perryman, as we are talking about, these Texas State Democrats. They are joining us. We've been talking with Texas State Representative Jolanda Jones. I need you to come bring that camera down, Lavonia Perryman, so we can see your beautiful face. There you go. That's it. And I want you to know, everybody, contrary to the reports that you're hearing, they are holding fast. They will not be able to make a quorum because the people who are in Illinois and the people who are in New York are not moving. They said, no, we have work to do. There's too much that is at stake. Your Social Security, your Medicare, your Medicaid, if we allow them to redraw these congressional districts, we're not going to be able to get these seats back.
That's right.
Think about that. That is what is at stake, everybody. And these seats hold the keys to your Social Security, to your Medicare, to your Medicaid, to tariffs, to all of these, to billionaires and the very, very wealthy getting a break on their taxes, but you're being broken by yours. That's what's at stake here. That's what's at stake. And quite frankly, the operation of the democracy, Rania. We are a republic that has democratic elements. The fact that these people can flex their power in this way, and quite frankly, I don't like it when anyone does it, okay? Gerrymandering just in and of itself is not good. It's not about a party. It's about people being represented. That's all. So at some point, we're going to have to go up in our politics if we want America to still exist and not do it like this. Think about that. I just want you to think about that, everybody. But Livonia Perryman, I'm so relieved that we had Texas State Representative Yolanda Jones on. We're expecting Ron Reynolds on at any minute from the Texas State delegation. And Rania, they are saying, Rania Patrice, Democratic organizer, you're a Democratic organizer too, Livonia Perryman, and an award-winning journalist. And of course, Rania has organized and really run many a campaign. We've got Representative Ron Reynolds with us right now. I'll let him tell it. Well, he's got the great, the great flag of Texas behind him.
That's right.
He's trying to let us know, not let us know where they are. But we
don't mess with Texas, right?
That's right.
There
That's right,
it
Monia.
is. There
That's
it
right.
is.
Don't mess with Texas.
Livonia, we're surrounded by Texans right now, so we just have to do it.
That's right. We're sorry and we're not sorry all at the same time.
I'm so proud of them. They're so bold in their movement. I'm just glad to be in the mix.
Look, well, you know what? I want to start with you, Representative Ron Reynolds. And of course, you got Rania Patrice, your fellow Texan, who is a Democratic organizer. She is also really one of the top campaign operatives in the party. And we've got Livonia Perryman, who is the same and an award-winning journalist. Help me to understand what is going on, because as I was, I sent you just a small cache of stories.
Yes,
and
you did.
The corporate media are reporting that the Texas Democrats are on their way home. This is about to be over, and Yolanda Jones and you and just others are saying no. They're threatening to put Beto O'Rourke in jail because he's been raising money to support you, who make $600 a month. Wow, out of which your benefits come. So you're basically volunteering for the great state of Texas.
That part,
because by the time, even with group insurance, you got to pay. That costs some money. So talk to me, Representative Reynolds. First of all, how are you doing? And we're coming up on week 2. Are you all ready to go back to Texas?
well, Santita, thank you for having me on, and thank you for covering this. And it's great to be joined by my fellow Texans. Yay!
Texan, you're
Yes.
on here right now.
Yes. So I will tell you that we have not definitively set a date of departure. I know that currently, right now, my colleagues and I are weighing all the options. So and I'm the vice chair of the House Democratic Caucus. So I work directly with our chairman, which is our minority leader, Gene Wu. We are working with our colleagues to really do what we believe is going to be best. And so right now, there is no exit date. There is no date that we're booking flights or checking out of our hotels. We are actively in this fight. And that narrative is certainly false. There have been some discussions about perhaps leaving, but there's been no decisions about leaving. And so as I stand here talking to you right now, we are actively in the quorum break, doing everything we can. What changed was Governor Abbott realized that we weren't coming back. And so the quorum, 30 days is each quorum, right? That would have been Tuesday the 19th. Well, I guess they decided, well, hell, they're not coming back over the weekend. They're not coming back to the Tuesday. If they don't come back by Friday, we'll just sine die, which means end this first call special session, and I'll immediately call a second. And then some people were saying, oh, well, if that's the case, then we'll just go back. But that was just some people randomly talking. There's been no decisions that were made by our caucus, because if they did, I would be in on it. And I can tell you that that's only been discussions. So that's to clear the record. There is no date or time certain. But eventually, we know we have to go back. Eventually, we know that. But I can tell you for a fact that that's not decided.
Well, what is the goal here?
Yeah,
because you said, look, we don't have the votes, but what you have is the narrative.
That's correct.
You know what I mean? Livonia and Rania, You've got the room.
Right. Santita, the goal, and it's always important to define what the goal is. What is the mission, right? Our mission when we left Texas 10 days ago was to run out the clock, to kill the bill, the racial gerrymander, right? And the other goal was to sound the alarm bells with other states, California, New York, Illinois, New Mexico, other blue states, to say, hey, guess what? Texas is about to draw 5 Republican new seats to keep President Trump empowered through the midterms by changing the rules through a mid-decade redistricting. This is certainly, we know that this racial gerrymandering violates Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, but that's going to be tied up in courts for years. We need Democrats to stand up and fight right now, right? So one of our goals was, I think we've accomplished it, Governor Newsom is expected tomorrow to release the 5 Democrat seats that would be drawn and put on the ballot for California to pass when they go back in session on Monday. Okay, that is happening because of what we did. We took the fight across the country. We changed the narrative and we went on the offensive. We controlled the narrative. Now people understand what's at stake across the country. And so we've awakened the consciousness of the American public. And that's a lot of that has been thankful to people like you in the media for allowing us on your platforms to educate, inform, and empower people about the dangers of redistricting, but more importantly, the harm of racial gerrymandering and how it harms specifically Black and brown communities. We've done that. We've done that through the clergy. We've been to churches. We've been on podcasts. We've been on major networks and print. So we've used every mode of communication to sound the alarm bells and say, hey, this is what Trump and his MAGA extremists are trying to do to turn back the clock. So we've accomplished that part of our goal. The only part that's really left is honestly, and we've also tried to empower the American people to understand elections matter. And if you thought your vote didn't count, guess what? You're seeing now the remnants of it with all these ugly bills, this anti-diversity, equity, and inclusion, cuts to Medicare and Social Security, Department of Education. So we're sounding the alarm bell about people registering and people voting. But the other part is we are showing Democrats that you got to fight. The only way, even if you know eventually you may not win, we know eventually they may pass the bill, but we have to fight and push back. It's the David versus Goliath. We don't have the numbers, right? We're in the minority. We know once that bill hits the floor, it's over with. It's going to be straight party vote. So our objective was never that we would indefinitely kill the bill, because Governor Abbott has said on the record, for everyone to hear him, I'm going to call special session after special session after special session. That means that we would have to be away from the state until he said at 27, 28, because all he has to do from the comfort of his governor's mansion is just call another special session while we're away from our families, our loved ones, our jobs, our pets, and everything else that we love. So eventually, yes, we will have to go back, but we're not going back until we believe that we've accomplished what we've set out to accomplish.
Ronnie and Patrice, I know you only have a few minutes with us, but I want you to respond to that, because indeed we've got Ariel Gold holding in the waiting room, but you are in Texas.
Yeah. Yeah.
You help me to see this, because what the response that I'm getting from the viewers and the listeners, Livonia and Rania and Representative Reynolds, is that people are so glad to see the Democrats fighting.
Mhm.
I mean,
Finally,
digging in your heel and taking it to the fight, because you don't have to win the battle. You're not going to win every battle, but it's the war.
that's it.
Let me give you this, Rania, everyone, and I know this because Livonia worked in the campaign, 10 toes down. The Reverend Jackson was not the nominee in '88, but he was the winner.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't the nominee in '84, but he was the winner.
That's right.
He's all you talk about.
That's right.
You don't talk about Mondale.
No.
You don't talk about Dukakis. You talk about the Jackson campaigns. No Jackson, you wouldn't have had whatever you thought about Clinton. They had to pay. He had to pay the way for that. And then Obama and everybody else. Wait. Now all this stuff was not. We're populists, okay? So the right wing Democratic Party that we got, that was not our idea. But we were also up against Reagan. But you wouldn't have had you would have no Kamala Harris. I mean, just everything was changed. So wait a minute. So this is not about even redrawing the districts. You can redraw the districts again. You can do that. The fight, Rania, that they have put in the body politic. You couldn't pay for this. Because now everybody's talking about you. You lead the news every night.
But I think, and you hit the nail on the head, and you always do. And Representative Reynolds, of course, is helping to lead this charge, and it's exactly what y'all just said. We are desperate. And I honestly don't even think it's just Democrats that are desperate, but we are desperate for people to show up and stand on business and fight the fight and not come to us and say, oh, I changed the name of a bill. Give me a pat on the back. Not naming names. I am going to name names. Chuck Schumer talking to you. Or I'm sorry, not sorry, but Hakeem Jeffries saying, Jesus, take the wheel when people are literally being abducted off the streets. Like, come on. That is not what people need right now. It is not what we need right now. And my God, if it's not the Texas Democrats showing up and hopefully the federal Democrats are taking notes, because I'm sick of it. I know this country is sick of it. I know my colleagues are sick of it. When the establishment of the Democratic Party, I mean, and I don't mean the establishment inside, like, the elected officials, I mean the establishment voters are sick of the establishment, something's gone terribly wrong and they're sick of it. And the other thing too, just to what Representative Reynolds was talking about, Greg Abbott, one session, a special session after another. Let's be real clear about who pays for that too. It's the taxpayers. The taxpayers in the state of Texas who pay for these ridiculous games that they're playing that are rooted in nothing but oppression and racism.
That's right.
That is the goal, that is the intent, and he doesn't care. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about any one of us. I mean, this is the man who told parents, here, let me give you some DNA kits, so if your child gets shot to hell in their classroom, you can identify them. Like, that's who this man is. Let's just be very clear. And yes, and it is, I mean, I am, every time I get to be on this panel with Representative Reynolds, I'm just so honored, because again, everybody needs to be taking notes. Like, this is how you do it. This is exactly how you do it. You don't shy away. And you know what? It is a message to all of us too, not even just our elected officials. There is a lot of fear in this country right now, understandably. And there is this hopelessness sometimes, helplessness. I can't do anything. And Ron, my God, just said it. He just said it. Like, we might not have the numbers, but we are not hopeless. We are not helpless. We are not voiceless. And try as they may to silence us, we are not going to allow it. And that is what that's what Representative Reynolds and the entire Democratic caucus are showing us.
Well, you know what? And let me just say this. Daryl said, that's right, Sister Santita, your father, Reverend Jesse Jackson, paved the way for our first Black president, Barack Obama. Yes, he's still a winner. And I'm going to tell you, this was not even about getting the first Black president. I mean, that was a great thing. That was a step. I had Bernie Sanders on one of my old shows, and he said he made space for a white progressive like me, because he wasn't fooling with any of this. This is about moving the mission of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, which was the organization that Dr. King founded, that my father came out of, was to save the soul of America. This is not black, white, no. This is about saving the soul of America, a sick country, spiritually, that needs to be redeemed. Okay? So I think that I'm glad we had this moment that we saw something we thought we'd never see. But now you all have to that happened, and that's lovely. But we're still dropping bombs on people. We're watching people be
That part,
starved.
that
That
part,
part.
Santita.
We're watching skinny newborns in Gaza, people being starved to death. We've lost 100,000 people in the Sudan. Nobody's talking about that. Wait. We've got some things. There's some real matters here that we've got to deal with. We're still not treating Haiti right. No. Wait, y'all. We're still trying to take out Venezuela. We have a bounty on Maduro's head because he won't give us his oil. So no, wait. So when I see these Texas Democrats standing up, I see some people who, you know what? It makes me want to fight when I see them. It makes it, and you have awakened, I think, Livonia, before I get to you, Ariel. Livonia?
Yes,
like
right.
Awakened a sleeping giant.
Absolutely.
Because now people are saying, no, you all, wait a minute, keep on doing it. Because you can't leave now, Ron.
Yeah, you can't.
Too many people are counting on them, Livonia.
I would like to share with you your sentiment and say that, yes, the Texans and you, Representative, and your colleagues really have energized me, because I was one of those individuals, millions, who have been so disenchanted, disappointed, somewhat depressed about what was going on in America. I mean, when we found out who was going to be the next president, I mean, literally bodies and minds shut down. But when I'm listening to what we're talking about today, I think of Nelson Mandela and Reverend Jesse Jackson. I think of what the sacrifice that both of them have given up. And you know the sacrifice of Nelson Mandela. You know the sacrifice of Reverend Jesse Jackson. Those were sacrifices that they didn't mind giving to the people. They felt, this is my opinion, they felt that this is what they needed to do for the people that they claim to represent and support. Nelson Mandela spent over 20-some years in jail because of, apartheid. What we're looking at in Texas is a form of apartheid. It is a part. It's a leg of denying the rights of millions of people, the right to vote the way they should vote and be represented the way they should be. When I read the information, I was appalled that the governor, lapdog for Trump, says, I will have special sessions. It's the longest 228. Well, my position was, and I get this part, some of this is about money and some of this is about intimidation. So that's part of the intimidation that is set aside for those representatives like yourself, Representative Reynolds, that one, you have jobs, you have family, and you mentioned you have puppy dogs. I mean, that's what he said, puppy dogs. My point is that if you stayed out till the end of the year, what would that mean to the individuals that are sitting in Chicago today? What does that mean? Does that mean that, one, your families are missing you? That's one. But politically, would it make a change in the dynamics of Texas law? And would it make a change in dynamics in law around the country? What message would it have if I decided not to show up for a session till December 31st? That is my question, if I may have the humble opportunity to ask that question. So I'm looking at Nelson Mandela. I'm looking at Reverend Jesse Jackson, who we knew and know today that he should have been president of the United States. That's a fact. I ain't making it up. But not only did he have put in front of us the first president of the United States, African American, and the first female vice president, African American. What he did, do you know, he allowed and it gave the opportunity to several thousand to work at the White House. to work at the Department of Labor, to work at the Department of Commerce. They had never, only time African Americans went to the White House was for a tour from high school. But what he did, the sacrifice that he gave and opportunities, look what happened today. We had just recently, in the last, 10 years, the chair of the Democratic Party, African American. So what I'm saying is that what is happening in Texas is major, and it has major impact and will have major impact on. Don't let anyone intimidate you. Surely there's a job involved. Surely there's family involved. I know that's a tough one to fight. But trust me, I'm saying to America, you need to support those individuals who are in Texas, living in Chicago, with our good friend Jackson. I mean, not living, but you know what I mean. They are there as guests of the community there. That the community and that people who are progressive, people who are supporting progressive ideas, and people who said that the right of people should be fair and equal. This is where you need, I'm going to just say it out loud because I read all the information. When I saw that it was only $600 a month, $600 a month to represent the people in Texas, then this is a national call to action. And the national call to action is about dollars and cents and support for the people who are representing those folks. Texas is only one step away from the Michigan, one step away from Illinois, and guess what? Look
Ohio, California.
You see where I'm going? This is only a test point.
Hold that thought, because I'm going to wrap this up and we're going to continue this discussion. We're going to run a little long today on the Santita Jackson Show, because we have got Texas State Representative Ron Reynolds. He's second in leadership in the Democratic delegation. He's the former head of the congressional. I'm going to send you to Washington, but we want you in Austin.
Yes,
we want to be there, okay? But he is the legislative Black Caucus. And let me tell you, that slip is probably Freudian, because we keep looking in Washington, and I think we're now beginning to understand just how important state politics are, everybody. I mean, Donald Trump called, what was it? He was looking for votes in a state. In Georgia. He said, no, I just need, if I can get this state, I've got the presidency. This is very important. So I want you all to stay right here on the Santita Jackson Show, AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota. AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota, the Santita Jackson Show. We are talking with Texas State Representative Ron Reynolds, Livonia Perryman. That's right. Award-winning journalist, Democratic organizer. We're joined by the executive director of the Fellowship of Reconciliation, another Democratic organizer, Ariel Gold. I want you again, Representative Reynolds, to give us a synopsis, and I want you to respond to this, Ariel, of what you are doing. Because see, now we are getting the reports that you're ready to go. And when I spoke with you earlier, I just have to be candid. I don't generally take my personal conversations in public, but I will say this for the purposes here. I said to you, Livonia and Ariel, I said, the reason the governor is pressing so hard is because you're winning. So you've changed the whole national conversation. We can look in this chat line and people are saying, finally, that was the operative word. I think, Daryl, you used. Finally, somebody's standing up. That's what people are looking for now. I mean, you have energized everybody. Now you've got Beto O'Rourke saying, hey, we're going to work this out. And you know what? I might have to go to jail. That's all right. Because I'm going to support them. We're going to figure this out. Governor Newsom is like, don't worry about it. I got you now. We're about to redraw these boundaries in California because we've got the votes. And we're going to work this out. The good news is that more people are going to get represented. How about that part? Because this is not about a party, everybody. This is about you being represented. Do you not want your Medicare? Do you not want your Medicaid? Do you not want your Social Security? That's what this is about. Do you want another war? That's what this is about. That's what these votes are about. These people make $600 a month, out of which go all of the benefits come out of that. So they are volunteering. They're not making any money. They all have real jobs that they have left behind that they could lose. But they don't want you to lose. We're vulnerable in every state of the union. There are 15 states that are controlled by the Democrats. There are 22 that are controlled by Republicans. Think about that, everybody. We're very vulnerable. Vice President J.D. Vance was in Indiana last week. They didn't talk about that. He wants them to redraw their districts.
That's right.
They're not going to stop.
Mm-mm.
The only time you can call for a U.S. census to reapportion is in a year ending in 5. These people have had this in the hopper for a long time. You fail to plan, they do not plan to fail because they've been planning all along. And you finally have some people who are fighting back. No, you're winning every day. Representative Ron Reynolds, tell us what is going on. You're still out of the state, and you all are still holding on at this time.
We're still holding the line. We're still holding firm. I anticipate on Friday, when the House convenes to gavel in at 10 a.m., there will not be a quorum present because the majority of the Democrats that have been holding out will continue holding out. And so we are going to continue, and that will be the last day of this so-called special session because there's nothing special about it. But Governor Abbott has declared, and we received a notice today, an official notice, that if there's no quorum, then he will immediately call special session number 2 to begin on Friday as well. And so I, along with my Democratic colleagues, have no intention to return on Friday. We have not determined a date yet. We're still deliberating our next course of action. But what we do know is that there will be no quorum on Friday, that we have not made plans to exit Illinois, that we will continue to push for California, which they're releasing their maps on tomorrow, and they convene their legislative session on Monday. It goes to a ballot referendum, but basically that was one of the first things that we did. We're also still having conversations. We intend to have a conversation with Maryland, with other states that we've already started to have conversations with, Pennsylvania. And so what we're doing is changing the narrative. We're taking the fight to the country because we know that this isn't just about Texas. This is about the nation. And if they can do it in Texas, they can do it in your backyard, in your backyard, in your backyard. So we're sounding the alarm bell. Don't do it because you're not a Texan or you're a Texan. Do it because this is not what democracy looks like. This is not what we signed up for as Americans. We agree that we're going to follow the rules. And this is not regular order. When you talk about a mid-decade redistricting, that is not normal. And then on top of that, you talk about changing the census to not include a certain people because you don't want them to be counted. That is absurd. And so we're sounding the alarm bell so we can unwake the consciousness of people who want to be on the right side of history. We're never going to appeal to racist, extremist, skinhead neo-Nazis. We know that. But hopefully we fire up Democrats. Hopefully we even appeal to these independents and moderates and say, you know what? This isn't the America that I want to see in 2025. They're taking us back to dark days that we have thought that we've overcome, at least with respect to following some of the laws of this country when it comes to the Voting Rights Act that we just celebrated the 60th anniversary of just last week. So President Trump is like, hey, I don't want to follow the rules. I'm above the law. I'm an authoritarian fascist king. Do this or else. And we're saying, or else what? We're going to stand up to you. And everyone else is cowering. We see universities cowering to him. We see networks cowering to him. We see people in his own party that bend at his knee. And we see Democrats. I'm not going to leave anyone off there's no sacred cows here. Democrats in leadership. Chuck Schumer, you have not stepped up. And so we're putting them on notice by our actions, not our words. We're not playing armchair quarterback. We're not sitting there saying, oh, you should do this. We're demonstrating it with our example, with our sacrifice. Yes, we do only make $600 a month. And yes, we are losing money from being here. And yes, we are away from our families, our loved ones, and everything that we hold near and dear. But someone had to step up and say, if not me, then who? If not now, then when? If not this, then what? This is our civil rights moment. I said this one time before you, Santita, and I'll say it again. It's worth repeating. I wasn't around when your father was marching and protesting with, Reverend Abernathy and others, John Lewis. I wasn't around then. And I've often wondered, what would I have done? Would I have been as courageous as they were marching and going in harm's way? And all of the bravado in me likes to think that I would. Well, this is my civil rights moment right here. This is it. This is my Edmund Pettus Bridge moment. I have the baton that's been handed to me because they paved the way. I stand on their shoulders. And so I feel like this is a call to action that I must answer, or else I'm doing my ancestors a disservice and the future generations, those who are going to come behind me, my children and my children's children. So that is why I think it's incumbent that all of us take a role and step up and do our part. Don't have to be an elected official. Don't have to be rich. Don't have to be anything, but give your time, give your talent, give your treasure, give whatever you can give to be a part of the solution, be a part of the village that says, we took a stand. And I do believe that history will judge this moment in time at a later date, and we'll be able to see who was complicit because they said nothing and silence is complicity, and who took a stand. And then one thing the history books will reflect is Texas House Democrats took a stand, and hopefully we encourage the nation to do the same thing.
Well, that is what Daryl Punty says. He says, yes, this is a major move the Democrats made, waking up the people all across America. Ariel, what say you? Because he said Chuck Schumer.
I just want to say amen and thank you. And, this is taking place in a moment where, if folks have been following the DNC, the Democratic National Committee is trying to pass a letter, referendum, whatever, like basically saying that no mistakes were made under the Biden administration with what's happened in the Middle East. And so there are few Democrats right now who have bravery, who are walking in the footsteps of Dr. King and John Lewis, and you are one of them, Representative Reynolds. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for that, because you're right, this isn't just for Texans, this is for all of us. This is for all of us. And I feel it, and I'm grateful, just like we are all New Yorkers right now with Mamdani running for mayor in New York City, and we are all Texans right now. We are all Texans.
You are absolutely right.
Our appreciation. And sorry, go on, Santita. What were you going to say, Santita?
No, I mean, you make me want to move back to 40 West 135th Street. I can vote for Mamdani.
But we also have we have to back up our good sister in DC.
Yes.
Right. But we
Absolutely.
must make sure.
All of it. And we are all
Yes.
DC residents right now, too, because let's be real
right.
about what's happening there. And so, Fellowship of Reconciliation, our history is that we've been strategists, like political strategists from the start. And that's why Dr. King was a member of Fellowship of Reconciliation when only two organizations. And that's what Bayard Rustin did when he worked for us, and James Lawson. And so, I think often now that one of the things that I think about often is that we have to be mindful that it's not simply doing the same thing that was done then exactly. Like, it's not marching over a bridge or sitting in on a bus. It's not necessarily crossing a line and getting arrested. It has to be nonviolence is a strategy.
Yeah.
And it's a strategy that has to be adaptable, and that we have to really think about what is the outcome here. So if it's not going to change, the policy, how long and what are we going for here? And I just hear you making all of those calculations, and it just brings me back, and I've got like goosebump chills to AJ Musty, who was from FOR, and Bayard Rustin, and the radical sessions that were behind the civil rights movement, because it wasn't just that somebody got tired of sitting on the back of the bus and happened to go sit in the front of the bus. The time spent with chalkboards back then in rooms, probably smoke filled, thinking through all of these outcomes. What is our theory of change? Where are we trying to get? What do we think might get us there? Who's willing to be in the front line, get the beating, go to jail this particular time, next time, all of that. And I hear that taking place right now. And I just have goosebumps from it.
I hear the clicking of feet in Montgomery bus boycott when men and women who walk to the houses to clean for white women and white men, the houses that they walked for a year, that they took on the buses and they supported one another. This is what I feel. This is what you are doing in Texas and Reynolds. This is what, and you're right, Ariel. I believe and I feel what I said. Gee whiz, isn't this something? I remember though, when we were in San Francisco, that Reverend Jackson was there and people were waiting, anticipating, figuring out, what is he going to say?
Is he going to tear the party up? Because that's what they were afraid of, because he had so many votes.
Yes.
That they really were trying to justify not putting him on the ticket.
That's right. Right.
And we had pushed to get a woman on the ticket. Then white women would not support our 4 minority planks.
Yes.
But we had to. So in the face of all of that, they said, we know we have treated him poorly. Down to not even having their rooms ready when we got to our hotel that Saturday. What is he going to say?
That's right.
And he brought the party and the country together. There is a direct connection, Ariel and Livonia and Ron, between that night, spoke, it was on my birthday, July 17, 1984, to him speaking July 19th, 1988, he doubled his vote totals. Because the first time, it was a moment.
Yes.
Respond to this, Livonia. Daryl says Trump didn't expect the Democrats to stand up to him.
Absolutely not. He didn't expect this at all, not at all. So now they got we're gonna imprison, people. We're gonna have special sessions. We know that, and frankly, I'm telling you, they have already done it. They've probably gone to individuals' jobs or called people up, and in a form of intimidation. But I keep saying, we know this. The four of us know this. We've been there before. Our ancestors have been there before. We have learned from 84. We have learned from the bus boycott. We have learned from what's happening in Gaza. I mean, I got up this morning, they're talking about sending people from Gaza to the Sudan. What kind of madness is that? That is actually a conversation they're having. Then they're happening over in Haiti. So yes, Trump is not prepared for people who are remembering their history, who remember that they have a commitment to the people they've swore that they would represent. The Texans have shown us that swearing in was quite important, and that you would take it very seriously. And people around the country are waking up and saying, you know what? This is exactly what we should be doing in our state.
That's right.
That we should take this, and this is a challenge. This is not easy for the people, just so I will say it for you, Texans and Representative Reynolds. This is not easy for them. 2 weeks away, not at all. Maybe 3, maybe 4, but it's all worth it. Remember, 84 and 88. Reverend Jesse Jackson did not become our president of the United States, but he changed America. And that's what I feel that's happening right now today. Now, that's what Trump was not prepared for.
Well,
That's
Daryl
what he was
Torrey,
prepared for.
well, just in furtherance of your point, Daryl says, as the impressions sung back in the day, keep on pushing. You can't stop now because you've got the strength, and it doesn't make sense not to keep pushing. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. That's true. And I have to tell you, because I mean, you're in New York, and help me to see this because there's something, the zeitgeist, it's the spirit of the times. Help me with this, Ariel. And we're going to go back to you, Representative Reynolds, because I see Mamdani, I see the young man who won up in Minneapolis, St. Paul, where we are, Brother Omar. I mean, who's a Democratic Socialist. You saw the DC Mayor Bowser. She was tentative yesterday because she was trying to figure out, what am I looking at? What is this? And I know she got calls from everywhere. And I'm sure she was walking up and down her street and saw all of these uniformed people. That she saw the military all over her streets in the United States of America and the nation's capital. She got up this morning and said, y'all have to push back. This is not the way we're supposed to live. And mind you, it came out in the Washington Post yesterday that they received a leaked Pentagon memo that said that what they're doing in Washington, which is what they did in LA,
yes,
what they plan to do all over the country to quell civil unrest. This is the plan. So, I mean, Ariel, what they're doing by having the nerve.
Civil unrest in DC right now. I mean, now there is. Now there is. Now that the National Guard is there and Trump has taken over now there's civil unrest. For sure, there's civil upheaval. But crime was actually down in DC.
By a lot.
This is not what the citizens of DC wanted by any means.
But this came from K Street? Do you know, I was reading today that they have been lobbying from K Street, from the lobbyists, from the business community, to do this for a long time.
Sure. Well, what's been the most distressing for me since Trump won the election, and there's a lot of competition there of distressing things, but what has been perhaps the most distressing is the failure of the Democrats to see the writing on the wall, to see where the people are at, where the party is at, to read a gosh darn poll on the war in Gaza and many, many other things. And so we have Democratic operatives, right, kind of pushing back and trying to stay with this same Liz Cheney status quo. They're trying to push through a resolution in the DNC right now to say gobbledygook, essentially, like Biden was fine, during the first part of the Gaza war, that he provided the weapons for, like, yay, Democratic Party. And I am sorry, but that is a losing ticket. It's an immoral ticket. One thing. It's also a losing ticket. We see it happening in New York City. We see it happening in other places. We know where the energy is and where the support is. And so it's taking a few brave Democrats, got one right here with us, that are trying to show us the way and show the Democratic Party the way, because it needs some guidance right now. It also needs to, grow a pair.
Well, now there's that part, because I just had Yolanda Jones, Texas State Representative, use the S word in the other. Well, I'm not mad, but an Illinois judge denied.
I was being all careful.
You said, well, no, I'm not mad at you. Look, I love my sister. I just don't. I'm like, Lord have mercy. They have denied Paxton's request to arrest you. So, I mean, your attorney general wanted to have you arrested, and an Illinois judge here in the state said, no, we're not going to do that. No. So keep it up. I mean, but how does that make you feel when you see that the judge has denied your attorney general in your state has denied his request to have you arrested. How does that make you feel?
Well, first of all, it makes me feel relieved that you all have judges that follow the rule of law. And you all have an attorney general that happens to be a outstanding attorney general that doesn't try to weaponize his attorneys to go after his political enemies, unlike our attorney general, Ken Paxton. And I don't know if it's clear to you all, but I'm one of 13 Democrats that the attorney general and the governor want to remove from office. Because
no. Okay, make that make sense.
Yeah. So our attorney general, I'm so grateful for your judge that because it's frivolous. Every lawyer I talked to said this is frivolous. This is crazy.
But it was hanging out there. So
it was hanging out there, and I wouldn't be surprised that one of our activist judges would have said, you know what? Yeah, we want to lock their A up, and it could have happened. Let them appeal it, but it would have gave them kudos in their right flank, right? That they did it. So thank goodness that's a good thing. The second thing I'll tell you is that I was saying our attorney general filed a petition to the Supreme Court of Texas to have me and 12 of my colleagues, Democratic colleagues, removed from office, just like they did with the Tennessee 3. Yes. That is what they've done to me and 12 of my other colleagues, including our leader, Gene Wu. I'm the only African-American that has been targeted because I've been so outspoken. But
you're also, wait a minute, you're also second in Democratic.
Second, yeah. He's going after leadership. He's going after the people who were planning this quorum break. And so they're trying to make a target out of me to silence others from being on the front line and speaking truth to power. So right now I have lawyers that have entered a answer and pleadings to defend why I should be able to retain my seat that my constituents duly elected me to. I was duly elected just like they were. So they're trying to remove me from office, not from the ballot box, but from the courtroom. And even though I've committed no felony, I've had no conviction. That's our Constitution says if you commit a felony, then you can't serve public office. If you die, you can't serve. Or if you quit, in other words, you resign. Those are the three ways that you can lose your seat. That's it. There's no other exception in our Constitution. So they're trying to rewrite the rules so that they can silence the people who are most the biggest critics and the biggest thorns in their side. And this is a playbook out of Trump's Project 2025 of authoritarianism. This is what we're seeing. We've never seen this before. And then weaponizing the FBI. I mean, how intimidating is that? Where Senator John Cornyn would send a letter to Kash Patel, the head of the FBI, saying, I want the Department of Justice intervention because he has a primary opponent with our attorney general. This is we're pawns in a political fight for U.S. Senate in Texas. They're trying to outdo each other by Attorney General Paxton said he wanted to hunt us down, and he did this. Well, Senator Cornyn couldn't be outdoed. He said, I'm on the federal level, so I'll get the FBI on y'all. You can't make this stuff up. This is unprecedented. We've never seen this ever before in our state. I don't know if we've ever seen it in the nation. I don't think we've ever seen this. I mean, we could do an AI search, a Google search, but I would challenge you to find where another sitting U.S. senator has said, I want the FBI to be sick on our legislators because they had the audacity to break quorum and we need to get them. I've never seen this before, y'all, but that's what's happening right now. I have a pending arrest warrant. So if I stick foot on Texas, they can do it. They can't do it in Illinois. They can't do it in California. They did file it. Paxton did file it there as well. He filed it in California and Illinois because we have people at both places. I think he'll be denied in California as well. And I want to thank, Governor Pritzker, the Attorney General. I want to thank the mayor and all the people of Chicago and Illinois that have been so hospitable to my colleagues and I. We have found a almost second home here. And I could not take that for granted because they didn't have to extend such a welcome invitation, visiting churches, at Rainbow Push, at the Leadership Network, all over. I met with Congressman Danny Davis. This has been just overwhelming, the love and the show of solidarity with people. And today we had a presser with the Indiana state delegation because we stand in solidarity with them. JD Vance, as you know, the vice president went there and said, y'all need to redistrict Indiana. And so they're going to have 2 Democrat seats that they're trying to redraw to disenfranchise communities of color. Again, we're the low-hanging fruit. We're the vulnerable ones. Let's go take them out. That is what they're trying to do. And they are next likely on the chopping block. So again, it doesn't stop in Texas. This is going across the country. They'll go to Ohio. They'll go to Florida. They'll go every red state that they can.
There are 22 states.
Huh?
There are 22 states that are completely under Republican control.
So this is the way. This is the new Trump playbook, y'all.
But let's talk about the environment. Livonia and Ariel and Representative Reynolds. I keep putting you into these different offices, but perhaps the Lord is speaking.
You're trying to upgrade me. I'll take the upgrade.
No, it's not even an upgrade. You'd be put in another place. You're in a big place right now because everybody's looking at this space and place. When we spoke with your colleague, Texas State Representative Yolanda Jones, in the last hour, she said that there's a wanted poster with her face on it. Now, they're wanted posters. You all are wanted.
That's a fact. That's not hyperbole. That's real.
But
Governor Abbott, our governor did that.
But you got to help me with that because that's dangerous. See, because that makes you target practice. Not even practice. That puts you in the crosshairs.
Well, I would like to just chime in. I'm glad you mentioned that because as I was listening to all of what was happening, this is where, for me, and I learned this from the Rainbow Push team, where the Democrats nationally should step in. They, meaning the Democrats right now, they know what the 2025 book looks like. They know the plan. I'm saying, why aren't we progressive and aggressive and get in front of what is happening? If you know, like you said, 22 states are in jeopardy, then we need to have a plan of action that is visible, that has a strong message, and says that we are waiting you at the line of the state. We are here. Now walk on over and have a conversation or have a decision or look at the policies, look at the rules, look at the regular. What will they use against us? We need to be in front of the weapons that the Republicans will be using against us. Is it money? Is it policy? If it's arrest, if it's warrants, what is that? And we need to get the brilliant minds of Democrats, lawyers, and others to really get in front of that. If not, we will only be having a conversation about it, and they will be chipping off 22 states. We'll be talking next week, 21, talking next week, 19 states, as they continue to go to each one. These are test runs. In California, we saw he fought and is still fighting. Here we are in Texas, still fighting. When we come to Michigan, it's going to be a major fight. It's a major fight. But I'm just saying the Democrats, I'm a Democrat, should nationally have a plan of action, weapons of messaging, weapons of finance, policy, knowing and understanding. And if they have to tip in and find out what they're going to do, the next step, they need to be 1 or 2 steps in front of them. Otherwise, we will not be where we need to be in 2026.
But see, hold on, Ariel. See, because Ariel was the reason I was at the DNC meeting in February. I'm still not over that. I'm still warm with the sister about that, but I'm glad I had the experience.
Ooh, I heard.
Oh my gosh, Ariel, with all the money that the Democrats have, and the Democrats have some money, to have these people trying to figure out their hotel and figuring out their money.
Yes.
Ariel, what is that? I mean, make that make sense to me, because that math is not mathing for me. We had $1 billion, and mind you, that was Joe Biden's $1 billion, but it was still $1 billion in the presidential campaign. Democrats can raise $1 million.
That's right.
No, you're still on mute. You're still on mute, Ariel.
It's not about the money. We're not losing. We didn't lose the election to Trump, and we're not losing other elections that we lose because there was a lack of money. It's not about the money. It's because Democrats are trying to play this, what I could just call the Liz Cheney game, right? Like the Republicans move to the extreme right, and the Democrats, rather than listening to the people, hearing the polls, listening to public opinion, are just like, oh, we'll just move to where the Republicans were before. And look, we got Liz Cheney with us. It makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. And we need to build, interest and excitement in our party. And we can do that around the issues that matter to people. And that's where people are getting excited in elections. So the issues that matter are end this unholy, horrific war, genocide taking place in Gaza. We need to address affordable living, healthcare, food, education, basic things. And this is what gets people. This is even how Trump won. I mean, he listened to the people. He listened to people that are suffering, right? That times are hard. Kids can't move out of their parents' house. When they graduate college, they come back home and move into the basement and, can't move forward with their lives. This is not what the people want. And Democrats are just, the Democratic Party, the Democratic machine is just continuing to recycle its neocon garbage that the people have moved past.
But you see, Daryl said this fight by the Democrats needs to be going on in every state in America.
Yes,
it does.
Because Trump has a 50-state strategy. And what did you say about Chuck Schumer? The most powerful man, aside from the vice president, in the Senate. I mean, I'm like, are you no one's reading the room. And mind you, two of the big races that have been run over the past couple of months have been won by Democratic socialists, not members of the Democratic Party. Wait a minute. It's like, wait a minute. Are you all trying to lose? I mean, but and to me, it's not even about the party. It's about the people. You're not representing the people. No. Wait a minute, everybody. These cuts are kicking in, but they're not kicking in the way they're going to kick in another year and a half.
That's right.
People are not going to live.
That's right.
People are going to die. They're not going to be able to get their health care.
And this is being
Social Security. I mean,
and this is being handed to the Democrats, right? Like the cuts to Social Security. Here is something to campaign on, something to fix. And instead, they're just sounding off gobbledygook, which is how we lost the presidential election. Biden's supplying all the tools for the bombings of Gaza. And then Harris is having a party convention of joy, completely out of touch with reality. And I just, I know those consultants make a lot of money, but do any of them know how to read a poll?
But and I'd like to chime in on this one is in terms of what we see on daily news. Where are the voices of Democrats, the leadership? Not one, there should not be a time, this is just my opinion, not one time that Trump gets up and says wackadoodle things and Democrats are not saying exactly what the public and the people are feeling. No, we are not buying into that lie. No, you are about to cause havoc in our families by eliminating SNAP, WIC, Social Security. No, the Democrats have to say the words. We have to express it to the people. The people are saying, Democrats or progressives, this is what you're saying. You're allowing him to take the air out of America, air out of the media by not standing toe to toe. We know how to stand toe to toe.
But hold on, Livonia. Take Trump out of this. Just take him out put him off to the side for a minute.
Okay.
Let him be a filler. Let him be a variable, because you got J.D. Vance behind him who's 40. Okay. Where's Chuck Schumer?
Yeah, that's my point. Yes.
No, I mean, where is Mr. Clyburn?
Yes.
Where's Miss Pelosi?
Call it.
No, just all of you should be making comments supporting the people in Texas. Just saying, hey, we stand with you.
Yes.
You might be a little nervous about it, but just if you just say the words.
Yes.
But they're not doing any of that.
They hemmed in hard endorsing Mamdani when he, had such a great win, and that was difficult for them.
You said it was a great win. I said it was a great win. Livonia did. The Democrats said this is a horrible thing. They said this about Bernie. They said it about anyone who brings the energy. They are like, this is the worst thing that could ever happen to the party.
And that's what the Texas Democrats are doing. And the party's like, oh, no, don't make waves. Please don't do something that gets people's support and helps people. Oh, no, don't do that. We just want to do joy and corporate endorsement.
No, but I think, what? When people tell you who they are, you need to believe them. We keep trying to make them. It's just like having a man who you try to refashion. And I say that because I like men. And I know my mama told me, what you get is what you got. Now, don't shop around. He has to come and get you. That having been said, she told me what you get is what you got. You got to make him into the best thing that you can make him into, because he is a lump of clay. And she said, your father, this was the best I could do. You should have seen what I got in 1961, 62. Yeah, there it is. I guess it was. Okay. And 61. And, we keep trying to make them who they're not. They're two wings of the same bird, Ariel, Livonia. Now, I realize this is the binary system that we've got right now. But the fact is, Mamdani and this young man, Omar, who just won in Minneapolis, they are of another generation.
They are.
They've already left this party behind. Mm-hmm. They don't even call themselves Democrats. They're like, no, we're Democratic Socialists. Don't hem us in on the labels, because philosophically, this is where we are. Well, and I think we need to just say, wait a minute. I think we need to demand that the Democrats support them, number one, in Texas. We need to demand that. Now, and we need to demand that those who are in leadership, they need to say something, and they need to start raising some money. If you're not going to let Beto raise money, they need to raise.
That's right.
And they say, come after the party, because these are our people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's as you were talking about the generational gap, it was reminding me of the earthquake that is taking place in Jewish America right now, the Jewish American community, which is that the young people have said, oh, no, this blind support for Israel while Israel commits genocide, that's not our Judaism, that's not us. And it has shaken the whole Jewish American community, not yet the establishments, not yet the institutions, but the community. And what's happening behind that is, by and large, for the most part, the older generation, my generation, and
above us,
are getting on board. They're like, well, this is tough for us. We didn't think this way. But hey, these young people, they know what they're talking about, and they are the future, and they're going to be the ones moving this country forward. Let's follow them. Let's get on board with the right thing there that's taking place. And that needs to be happening across the board. When young people are taking that kind of excited leadership, yeah, we need to demand we all get on board.
But you're right. There's a lesson for that in us, Ariel, because these are people who were raised to have a certain thought, right?
Yes.
And then they had to go, wait a minute. First of all, even if they still have trepidation, they see where the country and the world have gone in terms of what our thoughts are. So it's like, at some point, you got to get on board.
And the younger generation is seeing that they recognize some things have not worked. I mean, they just haven't worked.
And let me tell you, when I see these Texas Democrats and this young man in Minneapolis, St. Paul,
yes,
and Mom Donnie, and a lot of these young, they've already gone on. They look, at some point, what do they say? You got to get on board.
Yeah.
I mean, they've already. You know what, Ariel? You've made a brilliant point. They've already gone.
Yes.
They have. What do they say? They've left the building. They've left the building, and I think we need to understand, like these Texas Democrats now, we're getting fired up all over the country. And
yes.
I'm just trying to. This woman got me to this DNC meeting. I'm still warm with Ariel, but I love her, and because I got a chance to see it for myself.
What did you see? Repeat it to us again.
What I saw was why the Democrats don't move, because I saw who was in the room. You didn't have the activist group in the room. I saw them. There was such a disconnect from, and Ariel and I talked about it, and Rania and I, because we had our team there, because me and our Ariel, this black girl, the progressive Jewish woman, the Palestinians, we just standing in the corner by ourselves, just waving a flag, we're over, free Palestine. Wait a minute, we want some money in the inner cities. Hey, save Medicare and Medicaid. We were almost alone. We were with each other. We were, and I can laugh about it now. I can laugh. We laugh about it then. And I said, I know I'm coming in with the crew who, well, here we are. Well, we just here. And what I'm saying is, the energy is with Ron.
Yes.
It's with Representative Wu.
Yes.
Representative Jones.
Yes.
Representative Gervin Hawkins. I mean, these are the people. They've got the energy because they have. I don't think I'm imagining things. They have kicked off something in the United States that has Gavin Newsom talking.
That's true.
I just saw former Congresswoman, now Mayor of Oakland, California, Barbara Lee. She's like, we're in solidarity. I mean, they have stirred up a conversation, and not just a conversation. People are getting excited about them. I told Ron earlier today, I said, whatever's going on, because I'm just looking at the news reports, you can't stop now. It's beyond you, because now people need you to put 10 toes down. If we see these people closing in on you to arrest you, we will stop them. If you are hungry, we will feed you. There were several people in the chat line who said, hey, if there are any alphas over there, because I'm a guy. That's what Daryl said. He said, bring the alphas. I got space for 2 people in my hole. Other people were saying, wait a minute, where are they? I'll get them some food. I mean, that's what they have stirred up. Because when you hear that they make $600 a month. And Representative Jolanda Jones told us, she said, out of which come my health care benefits. No. So they ain't making no money. That $600 is going to all their benefits and everything. And the governor has penalized them by cutting their staff budgets by 30%. So they're trying to figure out how to make payroll.
And also,
that's what Governor Abbott is doing to them.
Like the governor and others of his ilk are also alluding to the fact that if they do not return, they're going to have conversation with those folk who employ them outside of their responsibility as a state representative. Do you know what impact that would have on each individual in terms of the family? The intimidation is so high that there needs to be cover for these Texans that are really representing the country. We all need to be in on this to protect what is about to happen, what is unfolding in front of us in real time, that we need to be addressing the issue. And remember, we have to say it again. It's happening in Texas. Look out, Illinois. Look out, Michigan. Look out, the 22 states that you just mentioned. Look out. This is not a one-shot deal. Ask the people in D.C. Ask the people in Chicago. This is not. And so I'm saying that we, Democrats or otherwise, need to be prepared, ready, armed with messaging, armed with finances, armed with knowing the policies and the laws and the rules. And we need to get in front of whatever they think that they have. They're digging up rules from 1800s, 1993. Yeah. That's what they're digging. Well, we need to dig a little harder than they.
Yeah.
And be prepared for whatever they're going to put in writing. Be prepared. We need to look at strategy in terms of, the Attorney General in Texas is acting up. When is he up for election? Do you understand what I'm saying? When are they up for election? Let's talk to them. We can say, go ahead.
And registered. No. They have 900,000 people of color who are unregistered.
Yes.
They need to be registering them to vote right now.
That's right.
Right now.
That's true.
Yeah, you have a lot of people who won't vote, but you have a lot of people who don't even feel that their votes matter. So you have to get them registered to vote right now. There's a lot of work that we have to do right now. They're doing their part. So, my question for you, Ariel, in your mind, what are next steps? Because when you talk about being armed, Livonia, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, and I asked my father about this, Ariel, he was very proud to be part of the Fellowship of Reconciliation because this brought people together. And my father said, everybody, and he was able to really get this out today. He said, we all have to come together.
Yes.
We have to be together. He said, that's the only way we will win. And he also said, you don't fight fire with fire. You fight fire with water.
That's right.
You got to put this fire out.
I hadn't thought of that phrase, but I love that because we often talk in nonviolent strategy
that way.
About being a mirror of the violence, right? You don't bring violence to the violence, even aggressiveness. Like it's the opposite. And so I just love that. I'm gonna start using that if that's all right. Encouraging your
take
don't fight fire with fire. We fight it with water.
He popped up in bed. My mother said he frightened me to death because he was so clear. This was like last week, and they had on the television, and someone was saying we got to fight fire with fire, and they were talking about Texas. And my father looked up. He looked at her and he said, "Jackie, you fight fire with water. You don't fight fire with fire. You fight fire with water."
Good
See,
point.
nonviolence is a tactic. It is a mindset. It's cleaning out your heart. If Dr. King had been another kind of guy, and you had other leaders at that time who had different philosophies.
That's right.
He said, no, in order to make America what it ought to be, we've got to be nonviolent. Every action merits an equal and opposite reaction. Black people have been treated so violently, so horrifically. I've got to take them in a completely different direction and help America get there too.
Yep, that's right.
We have been raped. Look at me. I'm evidence of that.
That's right.
We have been beaten. We have been scorned. We have been dehumanized. The first time a bomb was dropped in American history on American soil was dropped on prosperous Black people. Coming through all of that, my grandmother would not look at Ruth. She said, do you think I want to be reminded of why I look as I do? No, don't you ever talk to me about Ruth. That's, my father's biographer said he was a man of dubious racial origins. Well, he was from my father's hometown, and he was white.
We understand that in Judaism, because in Eastern Europe there were so many rapes with the Cossacks and the pogroms.
This is what happens.
We
People,
made sure that it was matrilineal to keep
Yes.
children.
but we're matrilineal because what do they say? Mama's
Because
baby,
that's
daddy's
how you
baby.
deal with that. Because
That's
that's how you deal with that.
That's it.
You make sure that that child belongs to that mother, so the rape does
That's
not.
right.
That's it. That's it, because you are your mother's child. And I'm saying all of that to say that in this moment, we cannot afford to be violent.
Nope.
In this moment, we have to register people to vote. In this moment, we have to look at people who would abuse power this way and say, wait a minute, you're not well.
That's right.
And we've got
Right.
to make this right, because
Right.
we have to be against gerrymandering, period.
Right. Right.
Period. Now, we might have to do some of that to get out of this, but we've got to say gerrymandering is wrong. It's not about a party, it's about the people. How can we find a way to get everybody represented? Because the House of Representatives is supposed to be exponentially larger than it is right now, because it's supposed to reflect the nation's population. They haven't moved the population of the House of Representatives in more than 100 years. That's not the way this is supposed to work.
And you're speaking of water killing fire, and the Texans are showing
Yes.
just that. Nonviolence movement has moved the country. Just think about what they have done in the last 2 weeks. They have used the breath of water, the symbol of water, to move the country and say, wait a minute, what is gerrymandering? What, you mean to tell me I am not going to be represented? You mean to tell me that there's going to be a party that's going to control the entire state and intimidate me? And the Texans, Senator Reynolds, I call him State Representative Reynolds, and his colleagues have said, no, we are not going to allow it. We're going to speak truth to power. They're going to speak, and this is where sometimes the Democrats don't do so well. They're taking action. They got up, moved themselves to cross the country to make a statement. I'm saying that that's what we have to do. Not only just talk about it, but a statement has to be made. You're right. Registering the people to vote. I do know that was the going thing. I've got to go back to Rainbow Push. Every city and every town, I don't care if it was a cave with 4 people in it, Mr. Jackson was going to register them to vote. He just was. It didn't matter. He was not leaving an environment where there were more than 3 people and they weren't registered to vote.
Did you say if it was in a cave? Well, you know what? It's time for us to begin to close things out here, but this is that's rich, and it's true. They've got 900,000, about approximately 900,000 Black and brown people. And let's not forget poor white people, because everybody's not with this. They're unregistered in Texas. They've got to mount, and you can't wait for the party to do it, because it's Texas state law for all high school seniors to be registered to vote. They need to make that real.
Yes.
They need to do that. And so, you know what? I'm sorry we didn't get a closing thought from Ariel, but I want to get a closing thought from you before we go, because I don't know about you, but I'm invigorated.
I am invigorated by the people who I've just met, or who maybe I'll never meet them in person, who represent not just Texas, but they represent people around the country. They represent me here in Detroit, Michigan, saying that no, we can't sit back and allow this to happen to the people in Texas, because it could happen to us in Michigan. No, so it's given me energy to say and to do some things. And my closing remark, let's go back to the real basics. We need to register people all over the country.
That's right.
Because we had a very low turnout to elect individuals here in Detroit, Michigan. No less than 18% of the people voted in a mayoral election. Shameful on our part.
Well,
and I'm part of that. Shameful. So I'm saying I'm taking your example and your suggestion and saying that in closing, that effort should be ongoing, consistent, and it should happen around the country. We need to start empowering our individuals to voter registration early in the game. And I'm going to say one last thing, and I'm working on this, that we need to empower our young adults in the early stages of grade school, high school, to say and help them understand, what does civic engagement mean?
Mhm.
What does it mean? What is the responsibility of a citizen that's living in America? That is voting. That is a responsibility, a gift that was given to us, but it is a responsibility. And they will not understand it. Young folk will not understand that unless we infuse that in them early in the stages of their lives. But at the end of the day, we need to register those people in our community.
Well, and I will say it was a right that was won for us. And get up, but we've got a lot of fights. Some of the fights are in the voting booth. We need to understand what's happening in our system. You got to fight. But now that these people have given us, really, they've energized us. Mom Donnie has energized us. Mr. Omar up in Minneapolis, St. Paul, he has energized us. People are energized. Now let's do something with the energy, because potential energy equals zero in physics. Okay? And you've got to aim the energy and find your target and hit it.
Infuse it. That's right.
Come on, everybody. We can do this. We
That's
can do
right.
this. Support the people of Texas, the Democrats of Texas, because they're supporting democracy and the Republic. I love you, everybody. AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota. God bless.